Look, just don't go back inside. All right? You stay right here, okay? You have a good rest of your life, kid.
Breaking Bad is a crime drama television series that was created by Vince Gilligan and aired on AMC from 2008 to 2013. Its premise is that a mediocre high school chemistry teacher, Walter White, begins cooking crystal methamphetamine after receiving a diagnosis of terminal lung cancer. Walt's rationale for entering the drug world is to make just enough money to pay for his cancer treatment and provide a financially secure future for his family. A self-evident truth is that Breaking Bad's writing, acting, and cinematography are impeccable. I derive a rewarding sense of discovery from noticing a new detail with every rewatch. It took me 5 rewatches to notice that the sound of the elevator Gus rides foreshadows the bell that Hector rings to trigger Walt's homemade bomb, killing Gus. And it was not until my 9th and most recent rewatch that I noticed the camera's focus on the kitchen knife in the cold open of Ozymandias, which foreshadows Walt's physical assault on Skyler. Breaking Bad has been analyzed and dissected almost to a point of redundancy, a testament to its thematic breadth and depth. Frequently discussed topics orbit around Walt, Gus, and Saul. A seldom discussed topic pertains to Jesse Pinkman, Walt's partner. Jesse is a unique character. Despite being the co-protagonist of television's greatest drama, and having a feature-length movie made about him, his reputation is overshadowed by characters with 1 or 2 defining traits. I speculate this has something to do with the labels that have been assigned to these characters. Walter White, the high school chemistry teacher turned meth cook and later kingpin. Gustavo Fring, the chicken restaurant owner by day, meth distributor by night. And Saul Goodman,
a 2-bit bus bench lawyer.
Jesse cannot be labeled so easily, and labeling him as a wannabe gangster would be an oversimplification of an otherwise complex and compelling character. Compelling characters are defined by the concepts they embody. Jesse Pinkman is no exception to this rule. The concept he embodies is the death of childhood innocence, which is illustrated by the sensitivity we see him demonstrate towards children, the childlike qualities he possesses, and a temperament that predisposes him to guilt. All of these remind us that our inner child, the part of our soul that is uncorrupted by the horrors of the world, is the only thing that maintains the balance between good and evil. Jesse's sensitivity towards children is observable for the first time in episode 104, in which he stays at the house of his estranged parents. He rekindles his relationship with his younger and overachieving brother, Jake, who was a reflection of Jesse before he was corrupted by drugs. A maid discovers a marijuana joint in Jesse's bedroom, and Jesse's disappointed parents kick him out of the house. The joint is revealed to belong to Jake, and Jesse disposes of it to steer him in the right direction. In addition, in episode 206, Jesse breaks into the house of 2 junkies, Spooge and his wife, to recover the crystal meth that they stole from Skinny Pete. Appalled by the discovery of a neglected 5-year-old boy, he provides supervision to him and criticizes Spooge's wife for her uninvolved parenting style. In an act of benevolence, Jesse calls the police and bids the boy farewell. Finally, Jesse meets a woman recovering from substance abuse, Andrea, in episode 311. After becoming intimate with one another, Jesse scolds Andrea for expressing her temptation to use crystal meth when she is responsible for her 7-year-old son, Brock. In the same conversation, Jesse learns that Andrea's brother, Tomas, was the same boy who shot and killed his friend Combo in cold blood to gain the approval of rival drug dealers. Jesse's disposal of Jake's marijuana joint in the first example conveys to the audience his core belief that childhood innocence is a sacred commodity that should never be tampered with. The remaining examples featured characters who crossed one of Jesse's boundaries, exploiting a child's innocence to advance a criminal agenda. Whether it was Spooge's wife embracing her son to selfishly protect herself from Jesse's wrath, Andrea neglecting her parenting responsibilities to use crystal meth with a man she barely knows, or Gus using children to sell crystal meth, Jesse has a zero-tolerance policy for the criminal exploitation of children. Jesse himself appears to regress to a childlike state when he is recovering from a traumatic event. He violently sobs over the death of Jane when Walt retrieves him from a drug den. And like a baby touching a hot stove, Jesse's ignorance endangers himself and Walt, such as when he dissolves Emilio's corpse with hydrofluoric acid, leaves the keys to the RV in the ignition, and leads Hank to the site of the RV. Even Walt speaks to Jesse like he's a child who spilled his milk at the dinner table. Jesse's ignorance, a childlike quality, fulfills the second Oxford definition of innocence. The opposite is true for the first definition. He couldn't deny the role he played in the death of Drew Sharp even if it was Todd who pulled the trigger. And episode 506 shows us how much Drew's death affected him on an emotional level. Unlike Jesse, Walt is indifferent to the news report on the disappearance of Drew, cheerfully whistling the song The Lily of the Valley as Jesse looks through the screen in disbelief of his lack of remorse. The main takeaway is that Jesse has a soft spot for children, putting his own life at risk to protect them. And although many years of bad decisions have suppressed his childhood innocence, with his childlike qualities occasionally resurfacing, his personality, unlike that of Walt, Gus, or Saul, is not suited for the drug world.
Start over. Start fresh. One could. Put things right.
No. Sorry, kid, that's the one thing you could never do.
Just as Walt and Jesse could not have cooked their signature blue meth without methylamine, Breaking Bad would not have worked as well as it did without an emotional anchor such as Jesse Pinkman. In a show where children are murdered and corpses are dissolved in acid, Jesse reminds us that good and evil are not two sides of the same coin. They're part of the same chemical formula. It was smart of the writers to reverse their decision to kill Jesse from a botched drug deal at the end of Season 1. It was Jesse's compassion for children that provoked the all-out war between Walt and Gus in Season 4, and by teaming up with Hank, made Walt answer for his crimes in the latter half of Season 5. Now, if Jesse is the only character in the series who feels remorse for his actions, can we consider him to be a good person? A similar question can be asked about the Nazis. Like Jesse, the Nazis started off as ordinary men whose concept of morality was corrupted by extraordinary circumstances. Their disgust with the atrocities they committed because they were just following orders does not automatically absolve them of their guilt. Was Jesse not following Walt's orders when he shot and killed Gale? By that logic, even if Jesse never serves a prison sentence, the crimes he committed will never cease to haunt him. What this means for us is that if we are ever tempted to violate our conscience to serve a selfish or even criminal interest, we should evaluate the examples that we would be setting for our inner child. Children are smarter than we give them credit for. We model behaviors, and their malleable brains replicate them. If all our inner child knows is arrogance, deceit, and malevolence, then that's all our adult selves are ever going to know. And that balance between good and evil will be forever disrupted. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. It's no secret that Breaking Bad will always be my favorite TV show. And when I finally got around to making a Breaking Bad video essay, I wanted to make sure that I was adding to the Breaking Bad conversation. So if you found value in what I had to say, or you feel like this video helped you appreciate Breaking Bad even more, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. This has been Mark of Wisdom in Everything, signing out.